guys, Caleb here, back again with more Bad Fanfiction Theater, and we have two guests.
Sup, fool?
We get hit for copyright.
I was just waiting to do that.
That should be how you always introduce yourself. We decided that we were going to read a Animaniacs story crossed over with Silent Hill. For those who don't know, Silent Hill is a horror game. Animaniacs was a 90s cartoon for children that was really good and funny. So I have no idea how this is going to work out, but it's probably going to be bad. Maybe entertaining, but probably bad.
A match made in heaven, probably.
Mm.
Or hell.
So,
yeah, pretty much a match made in hell.
So we are reading Silent Studio by Pricey the Herm Raccoon, an Animaniacs crossover with Silent Hill. If you want to follow along, there will be a link down in the description below. And
first thing I have...
Yes?
Oh, sorry, but first thing I have to say, Pricey the Herm Raccoon. That all I can think of is the general idea of insert name here, the insert animal here. That is such a common thing that always kind of annoys me, but just want to get that out of the way.
Okay, let's start the fic. The pain, it already affronts my eyes. But anyway, author's note. This story is rated R18+, so you have to be older than 18. Is everybody here older than 18?
No, I'm exactly 18.
No,
well, you have to leave.
Aww.
Yeah. This
Rolo
story
fight the power.
This story offends my virgin eyes.
It contains strong horror, violence, and disturbing what? And what is horror violent? Is there supposed to be a comma there? Whatever.
I guess like horror genre violence is the closest thing I can think of.
Same.
However, comma, unfortunately there is no sex this time. Why should
no
that
sex
be
in the Animaniacs fanfic.
I
really
know,
want to see
what
Echo
a shame.
fucked up.
Or, as I keep wanting to try and use this cute little voice I came up, what a shocker. I don't know, I just think that's funny. But, no, I don't. Scroll down, there we go. Text equals normal action or speech. Text that is bold equals articles or media speech, radio, etc. that are also bold. There's a line there.
Have they never heard of quotations?
I suppose not. Or italics. News article. The closing of Warner Brothers Studio. Date 14/09/2000.
Well, that happened rather quickly.
Yes.
Quicker than I could have thought. Like, even early, you would have thought, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Today there is a disaster as a mass murderer slaughtered everyone in the Warner Brothers Studio and the resident, the Burbank, especially the hospital where the death count is as high as the count in the studio. We're not actually going to give you numbers, we're just going to suggest that somehow everybody died at Warner Brothers Studio, even though that's impossible for every single person to have died. Well, not impossible, but improbable.
Died. The end.
It's just like this person came in and murdered Toons? What did he have, like, a dip gun?
It was Judge Doom.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the only thing that I could figure.
There were a few survivors, so then you just lied. You just said everybody died.
Actually, it said everyone in the Warner Brothers studio, but it doesn't say a special. Actually, you're right. It does say everybody because it says as high as the count of the studio.
Yes, but I'm not. Well, whatever. It doesn't matter. There are a few survivors. Quotation mark attached right to the S. Not quotation mark. What am I talking about? Parentheses attached right to the S. The rest of this paragraph has torn off in parentheses. The authorities closed the studio.
I would freaking hope so.
Every time Wacko read this article, he somehow remembered a water tower. However, he can't recall what the water tower have relation with him. He also remembers someone close to him called Yakko and Dot, but he always gives himself a headache for just trying to remember who they really were. The last
Speaking of headache, I need to take some pain pills. This story is literally giving me a headache.
It's that
Already?
bad.
We just started, man.
Already? Yeah.
Well, a taste of things to come.
Yes. The last 20
But there's no
years.
sex in this.
Damn. I was so looking forward to that.
The last 20 years of his life was a miserable. Okay? The funny thing is, every time he read this article, he would want to read that letter that he have read over and over for 3 years already.
That is such a funny thing, as it said.
Mm-hmm. Wacko's letter, date unknown. Hi, Wacko. It's been almost 20 years that we see each other. How life been for you? Come back to the water tower and we will talk about our life in these 20 years. Love, Dot. Normally after reading this letter, Wacko would just sigh. This time, however, he decided that it will be that last time that he will read this letter again, as he have decided to go back to Burbank and the studio to find the true. I see, the true. He gets into his car because Wacko drived. Put the letter in the glove box and start the engine.
Wow.
Well, that was interesting. Well, think over. Oh, wait, we have to go on to the next chapter. Drat.
It's only 5 chapters, so I think we'll live, maybe.
Okay. Couldn't be any worse than my own life.
Whenever you're ready, Hawk.
Oh, I'm going next now?
Unless you don't want to.
I'm used to going after Blue, so.
Oh, well, Blue
Okay,
can
I can
go.
go.
Go for it.
Wacko drive his car on the driveway. He is heading to a sign that said, "You are now leaving Atlanta. Come again." I don't think I'd want to come again to Atlanta, but that's just me. This is where Wacko has been leaving scene their show was canceled. Yakko and Dot somehow decided to leave at Burbank because plots have employed them for other studio works where Dot is a fashion designer and Yakko is a prop designer. However, Wacko got nothing, so he have to move on else for fortune. That entire thing, other than after Come Again, was a giant run-on sentence.
They are crazy cartoon characters. They do not have enough sanity to be a prop director or a fashion designer. That's why they were locked into the water tower of Warner Brothers Studios.
The weather today seemed to be strange. It is too foggy, almost like Miss Aim?
I'm
Wacko
sure,
has
Miasma,
been...
I think, is what we're trying.
Yeah, I'm sure they meant miasma, but yeah.
Wacko has been wondering what is going on with the fog and lack of... this is where Fountain Hill comes in. And lack of other vehicles around. He quickly slapped his forehead before he realizes that is 2 in the morning. Who the fuck will come out this late? He chuckled to himself.
That's totally how Wacko talks.
However, a police siren interrupted his thought as he realized that he have been driving over 20 kilometers an hour. Polices are still on duty in this kind of shitty weather, he cursed to himself. He, however, drives at full speed into the fog, with the police behind him shouting, "Pull over, right now!"
Because the cop can yell at him from another car? Does he have, like, a bullhorn or something?
I guess, and it's like over 20 kilometers an hour. That's That's not very fast.
No.
At all.
Wacko open his eyes and see everything seemed to be not right.
Wait,
The
I think you
environment.
skipped a paragraph.
Huh?
Afraid so.
Aww.
Sorry, you
Wacko
can't
is
cheat.
now heading to a tunnel that said Burbank. The police siren still blaring behind him as he entered the tunnel. Slowly, his radio began to emit static. What the hell? I haven't even turned it on? The radio stopped emitting the static, but now a very loud siren is emitting from it. How many times should I think just the word emitting? The siren has drowned the police's siren and also causing himself a headache. However, he is unaware that his world is beginning to shift. Everything, apart from himself and his car, seem to be warping around and becoming darker and darker. Wacko opened up his eyes to see everything seemed to be not right. The environment is dark, and isn't Silent Hill pretty, like, white?
It depends on what version of Silent Hill we're talking about, because there's normal Silent Hill where people actually live from their day-to-day lives. Foggy Silent Hill, which is the world in between, and nighttime Silent Hill, which is when the really bad monsters come out. That's basically where you are fully into the other world, where Pyramid Head and the like exist.
Oh, Pyramid Head, but I thought there wasn't going to be any sex.
Uh,
That was
well-
terrible, I'm sorry.
Well, technically that was rape, but yeah.
Oh well. The environment is dark, and only his car light is helping him see. Wait, I didn't know it. Actually, no, I didn't. He spot a police car in front of him. He slowly drive past it and saw 4 polices sitting inside, but they, however, have no respond because is dark and can't tell clearly. So he took a flashlight from behind his sit and shine it at the police car. Wait, are they trying to say they can't see him because he's black?
Yes.
Maybe.
That is precisely what they're saying.
But I was thinking it because it was dark they couldn't see him, which I'm like, well, I guess he's in Nightmare Silent Hill.
I'd say that was racist, but he literally is black, so okay.
Well, he's
The
black
fuck?
with white face, but whatever.
True. Avoiding Michael Jackson joke. The fuck?
Ooh.
He all sees is 4 dead bodies in a horrible way. He looks around and soon realizes that dead bodies surround him. You know, this is really starting to... I'm trying to avoid making a reference to Michael Jackson, but the Thriller... I'm just hearing Thriller in my head right
now. Okay, there we go. Got it out of the way.
Okay. Confusion arises as he continues driving. He excited out of that tunnel of hell, or what he thinks is it. He is now on a bridge, and there are no dead bodies. He smiled to himself as he thinks he have escaped hell. But his smile is short, as a decayed body hung from rope drop in front of him and scare the shit out of him. He accelerates and drives as fast as he can and dodges the hanging bodies kept falling at him. Make this stop! Make this stop! He starts crying for seeing endless horror. Soon his car has reached the bridge's limit on drive beyond it. I'm gonna die! I'm gonna die! As his car falling down to nothingness. However, there is a bright light flashed and the whole scene is blinded.
Wow.
This is making so much sense.
This is so terrifying.
Honestly, I'm having a hard time thinking of things to even say here because, like, I'm not even certain what's going on.
It's
basically,
so
how much do you know about the Silent Hill game?
Almost nothing.
Yeah, ditto.
Okay, obviously Silent Hill's a set of horror games. More of the focus of psychological horror.
Yeah.
The town, there's a cult running around, and so they're fucking with things they think is God, but it's really more along the lines they're summoning demons and things. And the town eventually, as you play all the other games, the town, what's going on in the town is you see what you want to see. You also see, it's sort of like, we were talking about the webcomic Jack the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the key prominent things in Jack is that the people in hell, that's how they perceive hell. Hell is what they decide it is. And for one character, his hell was that everything was pre-planned. So, because his excuse in life was fate did this. He didn't kill little kids. It was fate that he had to do that. So he can't be punished for something he had to do because fate made him. When that's a load of bull, he chose himself to kill those little kids and is trying to dodge, accepting responsibility for that. So the devil controls him in hell, and so basically the devil just makes him do whatever. Another character, she was trying to avoid dealing with things that happened to her and her friend, and she felt guilty about it. So she'd spend every day kind of being a bitch, because that's what she'd felt like she'd been in life, and killing somebody who was her friend every single day. That person would come back to life, and then she'd kill her, and then she'd be raped and killed eventually at the end of her day, after having her eyes open to the truth every single day, until, of course, the main character decided to, no, we need to change that. So Silent Hill is the same way, sort of. You
Okay,
see,
then.
you see what you want to see, but of course, even though
Wait, so you want to be killed in Silent
not
Hill, basically?
necessarily, but some people have a guilt complex, so they get summoned to the town by one method or another, and the town hears that, and so it, goes after you. It's not necessarily, the town itself isn't necessarily evil, but it can be. It can, if you have a desire to be punished, as in the second game with James for killing his wife, the town will, try to punish you or kill you and show you the truth.
So if you have the desire for happiness, Silent Hill will be this awesome place.
It can be. There in the second game there was a little girl named Laura, and she didn't see monsters or anything. It was just a normal town to her.
Interesting.
Oh, I see.
It's actually a really interesting
So,
concept.
so are you basically
check
a
that out
serial
now.
killer in Silent Hill too? Like, are all the monsters just like just regular people?
The plot of Silent Hill 2 is James, the main character, gets summoned there by a letter his wife wrote. But he
Oh
doesn't.
yeah, I know the plot
Oh,
of
okay.
the first two.
He's not. James isn't a serial killer, but he did kill his wife.
Okay, fair enough.
And the canon ending for that game is,
He did it because she was dying. I know.
well, no, he actually drowns himself in the lake by driving his car into it.
Oh,
That's
that was the
depressing.
ending.
Yeah, that was the can. Usually,
Unless
if
they
you
say it was
end up in
different.
Silent Hill, you're probably not gonna have a happy ending. It's rare that you make it out with a happy ending. You do,
Okay.
you do in the first game, but you don't live long enough to have a completely happy ending, because you die in the third game, and then of course
Same character?
no, well, main character in the first game was, I don't want to say
Harry?
yeah, Harry. He lives until he's eventually killed in the third game, but his daughter is the main character of the third game. And then
Oh.
That's really
the
depressing.
fourth game is sort of a sequel to the second game, but only by relation of a serial killer that was actually mentioned in the second game.
Wasn't in the first game like all the main character did was just go around asking, "Have you seen a little girl?"
Yeah, he was looking for his daughter, who was the same daughter in the third game. But the cult was, obviously the games have changed a little in canon from the first to second games and so on. but the cult was using the powers of Silent Hill. Basically, it was Cheryl who was trying to protect herself from the cult, and unwittingly her father was helping the cult. And then when he realizes that, he's like, well, fuck, I gotta go save my daughter before they do this stupid ritual thing and like bring some kind of weird ass god thing into the world to kill everybody.
Okay, then.
Eventually, I'll do a let's play on the second and third game.
Okay, then.
So,
Oh, wow. I'm looking at this title. I already know where this is going. I know enough about Silent Hill to know where the title Hello Nurse is going with this.
yeah.
This is all phenomenally depressing to me.
Yeah, I mean, they're good games, but they are pretty sad.
So, I guess this is my chapter now.
Yep.
Happy day. Alright. Burbank. Wacko opened his eyes and see that he is in some kind of alley of Unknown City. So, I guess that's the city name. Welcome to Unknown City. Enjoy your
It should
stay.
be a Silent Hill, but whatever.
It basically just has unknown running around it, or flying around it.
That would
Pokemon.
actually be... that would almost be a better story. Everything seems so normal. Wow, okay. Everything seems so normal, despite that he kept thinking about what he have been through and how he have gotten here. All he can remember is that he have driven into a tunnel of hell and falling off a bridge. However, every time he tries to think what happened after the fall, his head hurts so much. I can commiserate. He starts walking out of the alley and into the main street. Surprisingly, he realized that he is in Burbank. But where is everyone, he thought. He continues walking in the isolated town until he got slipped by an ID card. He picks up the ID card. Brookhaven Hospital of Burbank. Name,
No,
Hello
it's
Nurse.
Brookhaven of Silent Hill anyway. Keep reading.
Well, I think it's because it's supposed to be a crossover.
I suppose.
Whatever, you know?
You could just say he
Brookhaven.
has to pass through Silent Hill to get there, and then he gets stuck in the town.
Brookhaven Hospital of Burbank. Name, Hello Nurse. ID number 21121. Position, the head of nurse. So, it's just a nurse's head then, I guess.
Yes.
Wacko examined the back of the card and found a black strip behind it. He put it in his pocket and head over to Brookhaven Hospital. On his way to the hospital, he remembers that fateful day of which their show was cancelled, and most of the staffs have lost their job. Hello Nurse was among them. Due to her experience and appearance, the sanatorium known as Brookhaven Hospital accepted her, and she grew to the highest ranking in a few weeks.
That's not how it works. You don't
However-
just because you look like a nurse, no. You actually have to have skill as a nurse.
Well, who knows? Maybe she'll surprise us. Maybe not.
Maybe
Who
she'll be
knows?
one of those bubble-headed.
That's what I was thinking.
However, that didn't mean that she liked working there. She is forced to live with psychopaths every day, fearing she would be dead in every second.
You
And
don't
what
live in
more-
a sanitarium if you're not crazy.
Yeah. Fearing she would be dead in every second, and what more scare her is that the hospital main route is from Silent Hill. Most of the patient's hometown is Silent Hill, also known as the Devil's Playground.
Nobody is aware, unless they've been trapped in there, that Silent Hill is a bad place.
Brookhaven, first floor. Wacko opened the front door to Brookhaven interior. The place is very old, as there are still using spin dial phone. He walks up to the reception counter and rings the bell. Due to his shot temper, he began banging on the bell and yelling for attention because no one has answered him for the past 5 minutes.
You should read every single reading, like in the voice you're doing right now. I just want to say that right now, right here and now.
Soon he gives up on banging the poor bell and starts to wander off. After another half an hour, he began heading to the front door, because every doors he come across were locked or broken. To his surprise, the front door is also locked, and a key to the stairway is lying around. So just, like, on the floor somewhere, I guess?
Yeah. The sad thing is, this actually makes about as much sense as stuff that goes on in the game sometimes, because the game
Yeah.
is fucking with you. That's what the town does.
That actually makes sense, within the context of the universe. He picks up the key and uses it on the door to the stairway and head up to the second floor. Before he enters the second floor, he picks up a pickaxe lying on the wall. Hopefully we'll find some
from Minecraft.
Yes, hopefully we'll find some diamonds today. Brookhaven's second floor. This floor is where the deranged patients were kept, but there is no one here too, until he heard a sound of something munching. He followed the sound until he ended up in one of the cells with a doctor tearing another doctor. Wacko stood there frozen and dropped his pickaxe.
That was a bad idea.
Yeah. The feasting doctor was alerted by the sound, so he raises his head, revealed a skinless face.
Now I'm just thinking of Dr. Eggman, like just eating a sandwich or something.
What the hell are you doing here, you motherfuckers?
Eating as usual, I see. Wacko felt sick upon seeing the skinless face on the doctor. However, that's not helping because the doctor slowly approaches him. Stay back. He stumbled backward but fall on his back. Ow! He found himself having difficulty to get up as the doctor draw in closer and closer. Without hesitation, he picks up the pickaxe and does an upper swing at the doctor, killing it. Huh. Well, that's lucky, I guess. The other feasted doctor began to rise also, and he smashes that head also. He leaves the room.
You know, normally you would just start with a plank with a nail in it or something like that.
Yeah? Well,
Yeah.
how I mine for dead people.
Well, you need that zombie flesh in case you run out of real food.
Oof.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess that's true. Wacko make his way back to the stairway, but found a chain around it with a padlock. He stood there confused and curses his luck for being there the first place. He wanders around the second floor looking for a door that have anything to do with chemical. Soon he found it.
Why do you need a room with chemical? Why not just search every room for something that gets you out of there? Whatever.
He enters a room filled with drugs and syringes, but that's not what interests him. There are 5 doctors and in between 2 of them is a bottle of hydrochloral acid to get there. Wacko
Hydrochloral acid.
Yes. Wacko kills the 5.
Coral.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Like acid extracted from, underwater coral. Wacko kills the 5 doctor with a pickaxe and grabs the acid. He returns to the chained door and pours the acid on the chain to melt it. He enters the unchained door.
I don't think that's how that acid works. I don't think it can corrode through metal, but I am not sure.
Yeah, I assume it means, like, hydrochloric acid. And even so, like, that's not really concentrated enough to eat through steel or whatever.
Yeah, it really isn't. Believe me, I've tried. Prison Break, long story. Can you cut that out?
What's going on?
I'm just kidding.
Brookhaven, first floor. Wacko returns to the main entrance and sees someone very familiar to him. It is Dr. Scratch and Sniff, but something is wrong with him as Wacko can see part of his head is broken, leaving his brain vulnerable. You can't escape here. Otto's voice was very dry. He also wields a pickaxe. He swings the pickaxe over Wacko's head. Wacko block it with his own, and both of them stagger backward. However, Wacko got the upper hand and impaled Otto's brain. Otto screams a blood-curdling scream before falling over.
No, blood-curdling scream.
Oh yes, I'm sorry. Blood-curdling scream before falling over. Wacko goes over to the dead doctor and loot around for a key to get out of here. Soon he found the key to the entrance. Wacko unlocks the entrance door. To his surprise, he found himself facing a wall, or more like a room. There is a shotgun lodged on the wall, so he takes it out. Once he taken it out, he heard something drop behind him.
That
hope
was
you-
a very shitty boss fight. Also,
I hope you
Silent Hill monsters
buy
don't look like
sandwiches.
that.
Yeah, typically, even I know that.
So, the next chapter is yours.
Yes. Brookhaven
Go on,
Hospital.
Caleb.
Brookhaven Hospital, first floor. Ow, ow. Equals other
That is
world
very apt.
nightmare.
Now I'm just thinking of that song from Final Fantasy.
Wacko re-entered the hospital only to find everything different from before. The walls were now covered with human skins-like material, and the floors are rusty. So wait, he went from Foggy Silent Hill to Nightmare Silent Hill? Okay. Also, I mean, I'm just like, there would be a little better way to explain that, but that worked. Also, at the counter, there is no one present in the normal world. Now stood a nurse with her head hanging low. The first reaction comes to Wacko, hello, nurse. Once the nurse lift her head up to review a face with the eyes and mouth swapped around. Ah! Without thinking twice, he blows her head off with the shotgun. Wait, good use of ammo. I would have just ran. At the same time, Wacko found a letter soaked with blood. Only a few words were readable. Letter soaked with blood. This much I longer. Death way 3 FL. Without hesitating, Wacko rushed his way to the third floors of this evil-looking hospital, blowing off countless nurses' heads. Wacko
Oh, baby.
Wacko finally reached the third floor. This floor is different from the other two floors. Were creepy hallways and mysterious, not in a good way, rooms scattered everywhere. Why would I think that? Whereas this one, a huge creepy door stood in front of Wacko. He opens the door anyway, only to be found out that it was a very stubborn, but he get through the door by making enough gap to slip through.
Huh.
He found a familiar nurse standing in front of him holding a shotgun. He gasped, no doubt. She is hello, nurse. What are you doing in such a place like this? He doesn't feel like doing what he always does when he sees her around, however. His response is hello, nurse, raising her shotgun and pointing Wacko, saying, feels my pain. Wacko evaded with shot. Hello.
What?
Hello, nurse fires her shotgun. Random. Hold on. Yes. Okay. I shall.
Everyone, viewers, quick. Exit out of the video. Run. Save yourselves.
Yeah, it's too late for us, but
Actually, I need a shirt while you're.
You know, this is probably going to be cut out anyway, so... this is probably falling on deaf ears. Sad face.
pantaloons.
Good point. Let's take this opportunity to say everything we wouldn't be able to say regularly.
I'm wearing no pants.
Neither am I. In fact, I've ever seen meat spin? I'm doing that right now.
Dear Lord. +1.
Oh yes, that's actually a +1 rotation.
Wow.
Like a record, baby, round, round, round.
Oh, no.
What else could I say that would typically be cut out? Let's take full advantage of this. When the Caleb is away, the mice will play, or whatever the heck it is. So yeah. So, viewers, confidentially, Caleb has been planning something, and I think you might actually like it. It's there's going to be official bad fanfiction theater porno in the works. Hawkeye and I it'll start off with Hawkeye and I doing a sexy strip dance on a pole. And oh wait, is she back?
I'm sorry. My brother's like, I gotta go see my cats, and I'm like, okay.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
What are we laughing at?
Nothing. Nothing.
You
We'll
realize I
probably
can
find.
listen to that later. Yeah, I'm recording still.
Probably. That'll just make it all the more fun for me.
Uh, let's see here. Oh, let's see. Wacko looked at the, wait, okay. Hello Nurse fires her shotgun randomly in different direction, but moving very slow. Wacko looks at his environment and see that there is no cover at all. Wacko are now doing some crazy shit just to avoid getting it by Hello's onslaught. For almost 2 hours have passed that Wacko have been jumping around like a wild man while Hello fires her shot like a mad bitch. My goodness! How much ammo do you guys have? Like, really?
More than enough, it would seem.
Whenever there is a chance, Wacko returned the favor by shooting her back using his own shotgun. However, the bullets seemed to be useless against her as her show no sign of pain. Her uniform were a different story somehow. After enough shot, her uniform fall off, reviewing a topless Hello Nurse. I would imagine so. Wacko stares at her semi-naked body in shock. The fact that her heart was exposed, and he understands now why they bullets when effective against her, as she was made by hard plastic that looked very realistic, if not viewing too close.
Just
Okay.
like my grandma.
Uh,
Oh,
sure. Wacko took his chance and aimed at Hello's heart and shoot it at it with extreme close range that the heart exploded with a few bloods landed on his face. Hello gave out a death scream before falling over and shattering like a glass has been dropped. On her now shattered body, Wacko found something interesting. He picks it up and the place starts to warp again. Brookhaven Hospital, 3rd floor. He suddenly found himself in the magnificent office of Brookhaven. He
management office.
Oh, management office. I don't know where I got magnificent. Management office of Brookhaven. He looks around in relief as the walls and floors have turned back to normal. Okay,
Dun, dun, dun.
that written a little better. That boss fight might have been interesting because
Yeah,
that sounds Silent Hill like, with the exception of the fact she has a shotgun.
pretty much. From what I've gathered from the series.
I mean, it's not like enemies can't have guns or anything like that. It's just, that's not. They're supposed to be more psychological horror than, just a guy aiming gun at your head.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Wacko exited the hospital and wander off into the deserted street again until he ends up in front of a large gate with the word Animaniacs Studio on top of the gate. He uses the key that he picked up from defecting Hello Nurse on the padlock that is chained around the gate. Upon the lock is undone, the chain falls to the ground, making a loud chatter. You know what this? I just realized this reminds me of, like the way this is written. It reminds me of something Comics Nix would write almost.
I'm trying to remember who that is.
That
He's
was,
the
which story was that we read? The Bella story?
Yeah, the Bella Swan Pregnant and Furious.
Oh, gotcha. Right.
Like, he also wrote several other fics that kind of have similar awkward wording.
Right.
At least I would assume it's a he. Anyway. Animaniac Studio Exterior. The studio is much deserted as from the rest of Burbank. Wacko walks around the studio to find his old home, which is the water tower he found it in ease that he still remembers where it is. He climbs the ladder to the water tower, only to find that the door was locked, and none of his keys fit in the hole. However, there is a note stuck at the door. Note: I will be bringing the key with me. I will be in the backstage for a while. Da! Wacko groaned at the note and climbed down in the tower with in a huge sigh. Animaniacs Theater, spelled differently now. Wacko stood in front of a large double door of the entrance to the theater. However, the glass on the door was shattered, but he doesn't care what was really going on. He just wants to get into the building and hope he can find his sister. He wanders around the theater and found every door that were locked or broken. The only accessible place was the basement. The basement was like a shortcut to every part within the theater, apart from the stages. Basement! Wacko walks down to the stair to the basement. The place becomes more darker and scarier as he descends. Finally, he was at the bottom of the stair that got another door, so he opens that door and lead him into a more sinister place, the writer's domain. It turns out he was actually writing this all in his mom's basement, when all of a sudden... Okay, forget it. The air was damp, and the place is so dark that only some flicking lights, barely making the whole place visible. With no choice, he processed to where the lights are flicking and avoid complete dark area because he don't want some kind of injuries or surprises. Upon wandering around the basement, he steps on two notes. One is from Dot, and the other is a notice from the Mr. Plots. Mr. Plots note: Can all staff please be advised that the Warner are no longer a staff? Please do not let them into the backstage. If you find one, please kick them out immediately. Dot's note: Even I'm forbidden to enter the backstage. I must go to the dressing room the last time. I will use everything that will grant me to be the most cute and beautiful woman on this planet. Woman? Isn't she just a little girl? Whatever. I will fight my way to the dressing room. Exclamation point period. Dressing room. The dressing room is well lit, but it is also a ransack, with cosmetics all over the place, and nearly all mirrors have been smashed out, but only one have remained to be in perfect condition. What? Okay. He walks over to that mirror and found a strangely designed key that's shaped like his own sister's bow, and period. Suddenly, the dressing room entered a blackout, and when it turns back on again, the whole room turns different again. And now there are numbers of people with their heads smashed into the mirror in a sitting position, and the whole place was covered in blood. He looks back into the desk where he picks up the strange key and found a grenade and an AK-47.
There are no grenades or AK-47s in Silent Hill.
Or in the Warner Brothers studio, for that matter.
I guess Burbank, apparently now. So, sure, I guess.
Sitting there, and he picked them up. In hesitation, he exits the room. Basement. Ow! The basement seemed different, also as if the whole place doesn't belong to a theater at all. In fact, it has turned into a torture house with dead bodies mutilated or hooked in various devices. The freaking whole place have turns into a torture chamber. You know, that this is just like all I can think of this whole time is like the Animaniacs theme playing in my head. It's just giving me this really unfitting mental image. Apart from the torture chamber scenery, yes, I did interrupt just to avoid the song sequence. Thank you. He is also attacked by mannequins with sharp blades for arms. He then shoots them with the AK-47. They're mannequins. How that? You know what?
It's a thing of Silent Hill.
Okay, fair enough. After all the mannequins are dead, he ends up at the door where he first entered the basement not long ago. However, the door looks different because now there is a bow-shaped hole in the middle of the door. Also on top of the door read Stage 201. Wacko felt his heart skip a beat where he just remembered that his theater have only 200 stages. That's a pretty big theater. And on stages are accessible via the basement. He stares at the
Wait,
door
it
with
just said that you could get to everywhere except the stages from the basement.
He stares at the door with a mixed feeling of fears and anxious. Underneath the bow-shaped hole, there is a riddle that read, "Offer the beauty queen, and the passage to hell will be open to thee." How lovely. The beauty queen, he threw, if that mean his sister, is the key to the door. So he put the bow into the hole and heard something clicked. He opens the door and finds a huge state with no sits in a very large hole.
Usually the puzzles in Silent Hill are a bit harder to figure out.
They're harder than navigating an entire state. Okay then, I am never playing Silent Hill ever. Stage 201. He walks into the theater. Suddenly, strange sound coming from the large hole where the stage should be. Slowly, he proceeds to the hole, but not long. He is greeted by a giant swollen head of dots, supported by a large and long spinal cord, which the rest is still hidden inside the hole. The monstrous head stares at Wacko and tries to crush him by slamming her head, causing a large dent on the floor, and Wacko have sustained a huge injury. However, the head did not stop attacking, as she is splitting acid everywhere, and Wacko tries his best not to get hit by the acid. After a long time of acid dodging and shooting, all of his ammo for the AK-47 were used up, but luckily, the head was also in a stage of recovering. Without hesitation, he throws the grenade into her mouth and soon exploded. Then Wacko died. The end. However, instead of seeing blood flying everywhere, he is blinded by a huge white light. Don't go towards the light, Wacko. Don't. I know you just blew yourself up, but it's not your time.
Relax, don't do it.
Oh dear.
Stage 152. He found himself lying on the stage floor, and he looks around that he is no longer surrounded by dead people and the devices of death. The whole place has returned to normal. Also, he found a tear-off newspaper and a key to the water tower of which he had been sleeping on. Newspaper. The decapitated head of Miss Dot Warner has been found inside a bucket filled with water, and a mob has been placed on the top. A mob.
An entire mob of people.
The incident has been found by one of the cleaning staff. However, the rest of her body are yet to be found. Okay, thank God. It looks like I'm done for this. Bring it on home, Hawkeye.
All right. Come on, browser. Alrighty. It's a final chapter, I believe.
Yes.
Chapter 6. The Turth. Wacko arrives at the bottom of the water tower and gazes up to the door of his childhood home. Wait, they're not children anymore? I guess. Well, they're toons, so it's sorta... Anyway. He climbs the water tower and unlocks the door. Inside has not changed at all. The same stage as if they have left it. He searched all over the place, leaving no rooms unattended, and he found nothing interesting, much like this story, and began to think that his journey might be coming to an end. However, when he walks back out to the front door, he found a note written in ink scribble all over the door. He has sworn that the scribble wasn't there before. The scribble says, "The answers are here, but not here. You must ascend, for you must ascend to a different but same place." Wow, those are some stellar directions.
Yeah, and that actually sounds like something Silent Hill would do. Thanks, Silent Hill.
I don't even understand what's going on up to this point, honestly.
Wacko returned to his bedroom, where there's a trapdoor in the middle of the room, right beside their bunk bed. It has never been opened, and Yakko always ensured that no one ever opened it, by making bullshit such as monsters beneath it to scare off Dot and Wacko when they are still kids. But as they grew, and the whole monster story game became less reality in their mind, and more they have and eventually forgot the trapdoor. However, Wacko seemed to remember it after reading the scribble, but have a gut feeling about it. He approached the trapdoor and opened it as soon as he opens it, his first stand on end without any explanation.
No shit.
He took a sigh and climbed down the ladder in the dark abyss. When he reaches the bottom of the ladder, he found a door, opening review another ladder, much rustier than the one before. He enters and climbs the new ladder, and turns around to see the door he entered have disappeared. When he enters the top of the ladder, he opens a trap door, while felt like rusty metal that is very stubborn. However, he manages to force it apart. Dang. And climbs up into the open. He is in a very small room that looks very normal, apart from wall which have torn paper ripped off or missing. Also a door that looks identical to their water door situated on one side, so he enters that door. He is now inside the water tower once again, but this time is much more different than before. Everything is ransacked, windows all boarded up, and blood splatter all over the place. Wacko stares in shock, and tries to re-enter the door he has entered before, only to find it gone. Not only the places have full of blood, but also a strange-looking door with words like truth and wake up have been engraved on it. He went closer to the door and opens it. To his shock, he found himself staring at a torture chamber with mostly everyone he knew, which includes Hello Nurse strapped to a table, and she looks like someone has her brain removed. Scratch and Sniff seem to be bound and die in asphyxia. Dot, her skin was gone. Skippy and Slappy, they are both decapitated, and all other Animaniacs are in bizarre death. Wacko then notices a Toon which resembles himself, but wearing a claw gloves with only white in his eyes, start to run towards another strange door on the far side of the torture chamber. Wacko chase after it.
So he's Freddy Krueger now?
I guess.
Sure.
Makes about as much sense as anything. Upon opening the door, he found himself face off his opponent in what to be a field with blood-stained grass and red mist. His opponent just stand at the far end without moving at all. He began to run toward it. As soon as he got close, he got close. His opponent slashed him across the body, and he felt a pain like nothing he have endurance before, as the pain felt more like guilt and hatred. He pulled out his AK-47, which he picked up earlier, and fired at his foe.
I thought you were out of ammo.
Only to find out that he and his foe are receiving injury at the same time, and the same spot. Wacko are really confused as to what is going on, but he made no other choice but emptying the entire clip at his foe. With more and more pain he suffered, as well as his foe. Soon Wacko collapsed onto the floor, but he can still see his opponent dying as well. However, instead of dropping dead, it exploded into what appeared to be a newspaper article. Wacko's pain suddenly subsided as if he were never shot. He picks up the article and read. Soon he show a sign of disbelief. Burbank Murderous Toons Brief. Today at the Warner Brothers studio where the slaughtering took place, 4 people have been found dead. They are identified as Thuzdut's Plots, Dr. Scratch and Sniff, Hello Nurse, and Dot Warner. Mr. Plotz seemed to have his belly opened and his guts can be clearly seen from far away. The doctor and the nurse seem to be dying from shotgun shot that are very close to their head. Mrs. Warner was decapitated and her head was found inside a water bucket. ... unimportant thing.
That's pretty much its entire story.
The culprit is Wacko Warner. No, this can't be. I'm not a murderer. No. Wacko screamed in agony, and his surrounding began to fade, and soon he wakes up what to be a hospital bed, and he is bound to it. He quickly remembered this place as Brookhaven Hospital, and a chart with his name on it that got notes written all over it.
Voldemort has him bondage.
He can also see that Yakko was next to him, but with a very indifferent expression. So you woke, bro, Yakko said in a dead tone. So you have another dream, what you that do with your past, I guess. What's going on here? Why the fuck am I being tired up? Wacko screamed and trashed around his binding. Where's Dot? He suddenly asked while still thrashing around. Yakko's indifferent expression turned into a more disappointing one after he heard what Wacko said. Dot. But he replied, I have said what happened to her 1,000 times already. Do you really want to know? However, Wacko was somehow lost in space. Wow. And began screaming randomly and trashing violently. Doc, Wacko needs subduing again. Now the camera exit the room that said, Dangerous patient. Do not author without an authorized personnel. Now exit further down and another sign said...
Do not enter without an authorized personnel. You said author.
Yeah, it says, authorized personnel. Not personnel, but authorized personnel.
Oh my god, you're right.
Now exit further down and another sign said, Psycho's wards. So, not a psycho ward, but Psycho's wards, like wards.
It's the fourth Warner brother: Wacko, Yakko, Psycho, and Dot.
Yeah, so wards that belong to Psycho. Note: patient name: Wacko Warner. Doctor Kururu. I can't think of a name, and he's my favorite. Okay. Patient status: highly dangerous, constant flashback. Patient history: when the Animaniacs show have been cancelled, the Warners are left unemployed for many years. However, things turned good once all three of them reached adulthood. Yakko and Dot have got a very decent jobs that involving them staying in the studio. However, things are not the same for Wacko, as many employers found him to be too undisciplined and stupid. To make things worse, his brother and sister somehow agree with the employers and tease him with it all the time, making him a rice bucket, a Chinese slang. Because they're Chinese, I guess. Then on one fateful day, his murderous take over.
The end.
The end, bitches.
Woo. Okay, now give me a minute so I can catch up because my brother bothered me again.
I couldn't tell you what happened. I was lost the entire time.
Yeah, well, I don't think the story's actually supposed to make a whole lot of sense. It's just supposed to be just a fever dream, basically.
Yeah, it got that much, but it's like, this whole story, to me, it kind of, like, the fact of the fever dream reminds me why I stopped playing Silent Hill in the first place. Like, because I started playing, I bought the game, but I only got, like, part of the way through, because after a while I just got kind of like, it just felt sort of boring to me, if I'm completely honest.
That's sort of how my first playthrough of Dino Crisis was.
I'm not very familiar with that game. I've heard of it, though.
Yeah, it's a survival horror game in a somewhat similar vein to Resident Evil. The big problem with the original Dino Crisis is especially at first, you don't really have a whole lot of ammunition. Your best friends are tranquilizer rounds, if you can find them, because they'll stun a dinosaur in one shot. And they're bullet sponges when it comes to normal ammo. You can, like, expend tons of ammo trying to take down a single dinosaur, so
basically it's like Left 4 Dead if every enemy was a tank.
Yeah, it was really... Yeah, it sort of. But it was really frustrating the first time around until I kind of got it.
I see.
Especially since you also have to, deal with the puzzle type elements that are also present.
Okay, I've caught up. So, what did y'all think about that story, Hawkeye?
I had fun. I mean, I didn't, there's nothing here to really take terribly seriously, but it doesn't really seem like a troll fic. It seems like the person actually did put some effort into it. It's just they aren't very good with grammar.
Okay.
And even though, it's obviously rather silly, it was a fun read for me, especially just, with you guys, of course. Makes it that much better.
What about you, Blue?
In addition, but also in contrast to what Hawkeye just said, I agree with pretty much most of what he said, except for me, it was just really kind of a boring fanfic, honestly. It sort of, maybe it's probably just because I know too little about what's going on. There's all sorts of missing context for me and like I kind of have trouble the whole entire time I had no idea what they were even saying.
Okay. Fair enough. In my opinion, it could have been better, but it seems like this person has the Silent Hill mythos down pretty decently, with the exception of the enemies got guns and AK-47 for some reason. But seems like they know Silent Hill pretty well. My only confusion, aside from what I just named, is why an Animaniacs fic? You know?
It is such a strange pick. I mean, he sort of has, as you say, the mythos of both worlds down, but the mixture of the two is just very, very strange, especially since it seems all of the murdering and fighting seems to be done with conventional weaponry. And one of the things we joked about is, tunes. The only thing that is lethal to tunes is paint remover, which Judge Doom called the dip. They can't die from being shot, stabbed, dropped off cliffs, etc. I mean, that's why they can do the zany Looney Tunes stuff that they do. That's the one thing that really weirded me out.
I don't know. I think this would have made sense either as an original fan fiction with original characters, that might have been interesting, or with fandoms that are more reality based, like Twilight or something.
Twilight is far from reality based. Just saying that right here and now, but
well, yeah, but I mean, Silent Hill could still do something with that. They're not like Toon.
Right.
They're
sure.
not Wile E. Coyote and the like. But
well, that would actually be rather amusing, though, if they could do that right.
Well, we've been looking recently at Twilight fanfictions, is why the first thing to come to my mind is Twilight.
Sure.
But
honestly,
other fandom. Or I don't know, maybe a what if scenario. Silent Hill came for maybe a revisit to one of the canon characters from the games.
Canon? I guess I can actually, I kind of can see canon working, like Ayu or that would be kind of.
No, not that kind of canon.
Oh.
I mean canon as in characters that are actually from the Silent Hill game.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking of the anime. My bad.
But well, let's see. From the games I've played, Heather's still alive. That detective dude is still alive. Then of course there are still many cultists. Henry and Ellen are alive.
I don't know why, but I kind of feel like this would work well with a crossover with Heavy Rain.
Probably, yeah, I could see that. Like if you got the bad ending where like the boy dies, but like the dad's taken into custody, and like that would make sense.
I think the bad ending was where dang, now I'm forgetting his name too. The dad basically ends up dying too, I believe.
I thought that, well, I could be wrong. I've only watched like one playthrough, and that was a long time ago of Heavy Rain. But I was thinking that you
Ethan
could
Mars,
be.
that was his name.
But I thought you could be arrested, but also but your son died.
And there's multiple ways you can go. And I've played the game. It's pretty fun. It surprisingly almost, which is ironic because it almost reminds me of this in a way, but at the same time without the context, because where I'm standing, this bored me more than my inner life.
Basically, if you have no reference material for something like Silent Hill, you're gonna look at this like just some crazy nut job wanting to write a story, like if we got stuck reading My Immortal or something, like something really crazy out there that doesn't make any sense. But this is actually pretty true to the idea of what Silent Hill is. We just have some storytelling issues to work out as well as grammar and flesh this out a little more. I think it could be a good, interesting story. Might even be believable with Animaniacs, but it is weird with the
Yeah, it really
Animaniacs.
doesn't need to be fleshed out more. That's its primary problem in my eyes.
Why would that be bad? Because that way it would make more sense as to what's going on as a
No,
psychological.
no, I'm saying the lack of how fleshed out it was is the problem. I'm
Yeah.
saying it needs to be fleshed out more.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood what you said,
Yeah, as did I.
but yeah, I think if it was fleshed out more and more of a gradual explanation of how Silent Hill works, I think would be good here. I liked it. I just wished it could have been better. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's this is a positively mediocre story. There's nothing to rage at, but there's nothing to praise either. I mean, it was fun to read. There wasn't really anything super special about it, but I'm not angry at it, so that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, it's not the worst thing that's out there. Although I can certainly not say it's the best.
Yeah. I just wish, I mean, obviously this person knows what the Silent Hill universe is and means, and they're not trying to do some weird thing where it doesn't make any sense, and their character's made of awesome and yay. Clearly once they picked Wacko to be the bad guy, he stayed the bad guy, and there was a lot of hints that he was probably the bad guy, but it hasn't really done anything but borrow from other, the Silent Hill games to tell its story, and then it just slapped Animaniacs into it.
Well, that's kind of what a fanfic is in one way when you really think about it, though.
Well, the idea is you build on the universe and with either your own characters or with characters already presented to you. But this didn't really build on anything. It's just what if Wacko went crazy and dreamt about something Silent Hill like.
I suppose.
I think that's really all we have to say about this. I'm Caleb.
And I'm Hawkeye.
And
Why did I have... Okay. This has
Wow.
been Bad Fanfiction Theater. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye.
Bye.
see ya.